Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fantasia International Film Festival. This is our 24th edition, virtual, obviously, as you have noticed. This is only day 4 of the festival. There's still 10 days to go. You can check out our incredible lineup online right now. If you are into more documentaries, you can check out Morgana, that's on demand in our platform, also Texas Trip. Tonight at 7:30 p.m. Montreal time is the documentary about Tiny Tim, and tomorrow documentary You Cannot Kill David Arquette, also at 7:30 on our platform. If you are into aliens, you can check out Friedberry on demand or watch our international science fiction short film showcase that is playing August 25th at 5 p.m. If you're watching that, you have just seen The Prophet and the Space Aliens, and I am here with the director, Yoav Shamir, and the producer, Tanya. Aizikovich. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
To start, by the beginning, maybe you could both introduce yourself a little bit and tell us more about your journey as a filmmaker, as a producer, what brought you where you are now, I guess.
Tanya?
Yoav?
Yeah. So like in general or for this film or?
More in general, like it's not your first documentary, you've directed documentaries before, so more a more general filmmaker's journey.
Oh, okay, so this is my 7th actually kind of like festivals documentary, and in between I made and we made together and separately also other films for TV series, this type of thing. So this is basically my profession, to be a filmmaker, and I've studied history and philosophy for my BA. Then I actually worked as a computer programmer, and then I did not like it at all. So when I was 30, I took an MFA course in Tel Aviv University and started making films. So that's what I'm doing ever since.
How about you, Tanya? Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Sure. So as you have said, it's our, I don't remember, I think it's our 4th or 5th film together. Is it, Yoav?
Yeah,
3rd,
could be.
4th? I'm not sure. It's too late to count. I'm also a camera woman of this film. And I studied photography and video for my BA, and then I studied cinema for my MA, and basically that's also what I do. So I do, I produce, and I also do cinematography.
Okay, great. So when I first saw the film, one of the first things that I thought, and I thought it was a little bit funny. I didn't know exactly what I was watching. I knew I was watching a documentary about Rael, but that was about it. And it starts with pretty much you getting an award. I mean, this is how you say that you kind of first hear about him. You're getting that award. And the impression that I got, I was like, oh, it looks like he's being lured into the cult. Am I watching someone who's going to become an alien? Is it, what is this? So I would like to know a little bit more details about that moment when you received that award. You didn't know about him, and what exactly happened. How did you think, oh, I'm just going to go and get that award, and at what point did you think, oh, I'm going to make a documentary about this guy? At what point did you realize who he was?
Yeah, so when I received the invitation about the award, the letter, I knew nothing about Rael before. I never heard about it, as you can see in the film, so it was all very new to me. And then actually, Tanya and I were in a holiday back then, somewhere in Europe, but we had the camera with us, and we said, okay, let's let's have an adventure. So we went there and we started filming because that's what we do. It's kind of like a way for us also to feel comfortable. We didn't really know exactly what we're going to do with that. There was another film, the previous film that we made, that we thought maybe we're going to use it for that. And actually, it has like a little bit of this scene as well in the last film. And then it started, and it was all very strange, because we were never in this type of scenario. And I remember the first night we got there, it was kind of like we arrived quite late, and there was all this kind of like dancing and candles, and it was all kind of like coming to a very different atmosphere. And because I think all of us have this kind of like ideas about cults, So for me, I was going into this kind of like cult that believes in with a cult leader that believes in extraterrestrials. So when I was remember like talking to Tanya and hey, wow, this is crazy. We're like in this kind of crazy situation, and these guys, and when they were like, it was all very new and surprising, So and obviously when you come to this type of situation, you kind of like all of the ideas that you had before you project on them, So what's going to happen? And we read a lot in the internet about like the kind of like freedom of sexuality and all of this stuff, and we thought, I don't know, maybe some men or women were going to come into our room in the night, and there's going to be like these huge orgies and stuff, So it was all very very strange. But then then came the next morning, and then there was this kind of like everything in daylight seems more normal a little bit. And then we just started talking to people over there, and they seemed nice. And Rael was actually kind of like a quite funny guy on the stage, a little bit like a stand-up comedian, that when we talked about stuff, which was, nice. And then actually the film started when Bridget told us about the hospital they're going to open in Burkina Faso. So for us, that was the kind of like the hook. We thought the film is going to go that way, that we're going to concentrate on the hospital. But then I got more and more intrigued by this kind of like by Rael, and then it ended up being kind of like a film about him, and the hospital is a chapter in the movie. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's it's really interesting. So I was thinking because when I first started the movie, I was like, oh, is he, going to get into the cult? And when you are obviously facing someone like Rael, he's a cult leader. He's been doing that for now about like maybe 50 years, I guess. And to be someone like that, and to be a cult leader, you have to be a master manipulator, And how much do you think have you obviously you felt manipulated at some point? You said it in the documentary. So were you ever scared that he would take over, or that were you always on your guard, and also as a person, but also as a filmmaker, weren't you afraid that Rael would make it his movie, or did you keep control?
Yeah, good questions. I mean, the movie, it has like this arc of storytelling, which is, something that you have to build a plot around it. So don't believe everything you see in the movies. But no, I mean, yeah, I don't know, Tanya, did we feel like we've been, I'm not sure, like Tanya has like much better memory than I do.
I don't think we felt like, I mean, we were not like scared that we're gonna be like converted into cult members, or that Rael is gonna like take over the film. I mean, I think we had a very respectful relationship, with him the entire time. So it was kind of like, I mean, fear wasn't really the a component that was present,
Yeah, you see a lot of, and there's a lot of talk about trust. There's this little bit. I love the fact that you're playing pétanque with Ryan. That's like that's really one of the things that I love about it. And at some point, you said, to Rael playing pétanque, do you trust me? And I said, yeah, of course, I trust you. That says so much about you guys' relationship. And I guess it's the first time, I mean, for my part, that I see a documentary that is so, where a filmmaker is so close to Rael, so close to this kind of subject, and that I guess it's really difficult to obviously connect. Like he's probably hiding, because of a lot of stuff, and so trust, I guess is a big part of it. I guess
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, because like cult has this like a certain type of like image to it, so we know about cults of people that commit mass suicide and these type of things, so I think at least with the Iranians, because like the non-violence is very present in their philosophy, so I think there wasn't any kind of like fear of something bad happening to us. At some point, maybe they were like too much hugging, maybe. So that's they like to hug the Iranians. I remember we were in a seminar in Taiwan, and you just go around and people keep hugging you. So it's kind of like, it's strange at the beginning, but actually, it's all right.
But then you really get used to it, and then when you are on the way to the airport, and you just have you rent some hotel in the city, and you get into the elevator, and you almost hug this other person that was like not in the Raelian seminar, but you just like, you get used to this hugging thing. I kind of like it. I think it's nice.
Yeah, and also, we're coming from Israel, and like we live in a place in which religion is very dominant, and some of the mainstream religion here is very extreme, both from Jews and Muslims, and we used to be around kind of like quite fanatic religious people. And eventually, and also we made actually a film before that about like a Jewish sect, but they're not. I mean, most people in Israel don't call them sect; they're like a branch of Judaism. So this kind of like, I mean, quite soon I started like wondering about this kind of like the difference between cults and religions and all of that stuff. So for me, the film quite early on, I thought, okay, this is an opportunity to kind of like, not to make the conventional type of like cult film, which we see a lot of them, and most of them are almost have like this kind of like formula, right? So it's most of them are being made after the leader is already dead. That's many of these films. I think most of them are talking to ex-followers, and then it starts with how beautiful it was, and then something terrible happens, and then they say, how could we be so stupid? It's almost like I can write a script. I think I can count at least, I don't know how many of these type. So I didn't feel like making another one of these films. And also I think there was, when we researched, there were quite a lot of films and TV reports already made about the Iranians. So we needed to look elsewhere as filmmakers. And then came the idea of going more philosophically and taking Rael case as a case study. I mean, yeah, it's a crazy story, this guy, like 27-year-old guy, a singer, a wannabe race car driver, starting off like saying he met extraterrestrials. The story by itself is quite mad for people who don't know it. And so it was like, we had to keep the balance of like, okay, there are people who are not familiar with the story. Maybe people in Montreal are more familiar with Rael because he lived there for a long time, but also when we show the film elsewhere, so a lot of people were surprised by the story. So it's a good story. I mean, someone that like start his own cult or religion out of nowhere with his background, and like it's a good story. But then we wanted it to be more than just this kind of like voyeuristic exploration of a cult, which is very actually easy to ridicule. You know, that could have been like a very easy path to just kind of like, and we have a lot of scenes that we film with Well, and if we wanted to kind of like ridicule him and the people around him, would have been like super easy. But I think that wasn't our intention. I was kind of like genuinely interested in the questions of religion and faith. Actually, I studied the master's in comparative religious study during the making of the film because I was so intrigued by that. And then we thought, okay, this is an opportunity not many people get. And then we actually we asked this professor Daniel Boyarin, who's like a superstar in the world of religious study, to
And
be
he's
like
amazing. He's amazing in the documentary. Yeah.
so to be like our mentor, and then so I could ask him these questions that he's much more familiar with. And surprisingly, he was very open and very. I didn't think like that an Orthodox Jew, a professor at Berkeley, would be so kind of like have such like original, refreshing ideas about these issues. So he was, I think, like a good counterpoint to the film.
Yeah, one of the things that he says, you know, he talks about his own experience and how he became religious, and you know, he's talking about like the fact that to him it's to you know, seeing all those people running everywhere and not understanding, you know, why. You know, he found in religion for him a coherence, and you know, to him he sees as, you know, everyone is running in the same direction. Do you truly think that Raelian are really running in the same direction, in that same sense, or are they, you know, running in, you know, only in Rael's direction and not their own direction, or are they, you know, is this really what it's about in with the Raelians?
I think this is something that like we should ask like one of the followers, you know, in that sense. And I'm guessing there's like going to be quite a few answers. But then I think like, you know, it's, I also understand more this kind of like need to believe in something, because life is very difficult, you know, like I'm finding myself struggling a lot of the time with, you know, this kind of like big questions, why are we here, all these type of things, and what's the purpose. And then so in that sense, for me it's kind of like I think it's good to have like a guru, spiritual leader, someone like that. And then I mean the problem with that, I mean what kind of like I find very interesting is that I look at it as like as a game, religions, cults, all these kind of things. All right, so like you can look at it like a board game or like a football match. Just now I saw just before the Q&A, I was coming from like watching this the finals of the European Champions League when Bayern Munich won against FC Paris. So I mean, the thing is, I mean, it's in order to really enjoy the game, you have to be really immersed in the game. You need to really believe in the game. Otherwise, you need to want to win. You need to kind of like really go with it, right? But then, I mean, it's a very tricky balance, because how do you maintain this knowledge that you're playing a game, so you should enjoy it, you should play to win, but how do you stop? You know, like in the world of BDSM, there is this kind of like safe word, right? So people, when they engage in like in this type of like BDSM sex, there is a safe word which you can use, and then like you snap out of that, right? Never done it, but I read about it. That's like from reading. So I was thinking that like for religions or cults, that can be amazing, right? Like if you can kind of like be really engaged in the game, and then use like when someone is in danger, when you feel like you're losing your personality, or you kind of like you're too deep into it, into the rabbit hole, or it's a situation of risking your life or harming other people, or when the game becomes too intense, like in football, when you can like pull the red card and like then like stop the game, or like this kind of like use a safe word. But that's difficult. I mean, I wish it was possible, but I guess that's the main challenge, and I think very few people are able to do that. So that's like the trick, how do we enjoy the benefits of religion and still not harming ourselves or others on the process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess, and you could see it taken out of the context. You could see, a positive side to that peace and love message that he has. But and you show that you saw that part. So you've been very, very fair to him, actually, more than fair. But we can never forget, you're talking about danger, and there is a danger, and I mean, Rael is more than just a controversial character. There is there are a lot of sexual accusations, and those things can be ruining people's lives. They could be money extortion. I mean, there are people who are giving money into the sect, and there are families that are separated and all of that. What do you think is the true? Do you think you saw the true dark side of Rael, and do you think at this stage, outside of the fact that he's probably has a lot of accusation and he's kind of like living a free man, do you think he's still dangerous, or?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I mean, I think it took us also a long time to edit the film. And you don't see it in the film because eventually we have only the Boyarin, Professor Boyarin as an expert. But we talked with kind of like a lot of experts about realism, people like from France and from Canada who did their kind of like PhDs on him, researchers. We talked to ex-followers. We kind of like, we saw the movies. We had like a lot of information. And I mean, maybe kind of like I was asking it like in some of the interviews, I didn't want to come off like as an idiot promoting, like something which is harmful and dangerous. But from what we could tell, I think kind of like he got a really bad image, I think, especially in France and in Canada. And yeah, I mean, I don't believe he made the extraterrestrials. I think it's a made up story. That's kind of like so the basis for it's a story which I don't believe. And I was very open with Rael and the other aliens, saying that, and they accepted it. But a part of that, I mean, I think he lives a comfortable life. I don't know about all these stories about extortion or breaking up families or things like that. There wasn't anything in the way that we kind of like seen things, because I mean, as someone who works also for TV, we know how easy it is to highlight the bad sides, and there are people are more attracted to the bad sides. There was nothing that we've seen or found out in our research, and I think it was quite thorough, that kind of like that made me think that Rael should be in prison, or that he kind of like raped women, or did some stuff that for me would have been like a red line. I mean, all of us are kind of like, we never know like what's happening for sure, but this is like from what we could gather, and we made a film for quite a long time, talked to many people, so we didn't see this kind of like criminal aspects. If there are, maybe we couldn't find them. And I think that a lot of the time that how it was portrayed in the media was maybe a little bit unfair to him, right? I mean, and then it's a matter of like, okay, if you lie about like the extraterrestrials and the cloning, what does it mean? So that, and so I don't know. I mean, I might kind of like find some evidence of people that will tell me terrible things, and then I would be like in a very awkward situation. I don't know what I'm going to do. But so far, from what we managed to find out and through the research we made, there wasn't any kind of like red lines that I thought, okay, I'm doing something, and I'm kind of like I'm missing out totally. So I hope that's the truth, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair enough. I mean, that's your own perspective on it, and again, like for sure, what I appreciate the most about the documentary is that I really love a documentary like Hell House or Wild Wild Country or the more like classical movies about sex, and as you said, you definitely take a more philosophical approach to it, and it's a lot more rich, and it's fresh. It's a fresh point of view on that for sure. We are going to open up the question from the audience in just 1 minute. I just have one last question. What didn't make the cut? Is there a couple of anecdotes? I'm thinking, I really love that scene when he's meeting with the Mormons. There are a lot of like little funny scenes like that. Is there like a couple of anecdotes like that could be in a director's cut, or a longer version?
Yeah, we have so many hours of footage. So I mean, obviously, it's a lot of good stuff, which is really painful. And I'm kind of like obsessive as a filmmaker. And I mean, even now that the film is finished, I'm still kind of like telling Tanya once in a while, oh, we should have put this, let's open the film and add this part or this part. But it's always like that, I hope we use the best parts. Maybe we missed out on some things. Maybe when I'm going to retire, I'm going to make like the 3 hours director's cut, which will have all the extra stuff that is missing. But it's always like that, they there's like something that was said about poems, that a poem is never finished, it is abandoned. So it's also true for films, especially documentaries. There's a point where you just have to say stop. And we for sure went past this point many times, exhausted our budget to the very limit. But yeah.
Okay, so question from the audience, and the first question, the first question is from Josiane, and that's a really good one. Did Raël or Brigitte Boisselier watch the documentary, and if they did, what did they think of it? So we have the answer for you guys, exclusively with Fantasia. We actually reached out to Raël, and I was able to do a little interview on Zoom. So we're going to show you a little part of it. So Paul, can you show us our little video, please? Is there things that you disagree with the movie that you would change?
It's not. I cannot talk about that because it's not my movie. I respect artists, and Yoav is very talented, so he decides what he put in his movie. I have nothing to say. It's like people who make caricature about me. I like caricature, and I respect artists. I'm not against any form of expression, and I am against any kind of censorship. So freedom.
Okay, great. Is there anything that is missing from the movie that you wish you see more? Is there something a little more about yourself that you would like us to know?
No. I like it. I enjoy very much. I enjoy making it and watching it. It's a creation of Yoav, and I have a big respect for his talent as a director, and that's him. That's it.
So there you have it for our Fantasia audience. That was Raël. So what do you think, guys, about about that? I'm asking Yoav and Tanya.
About Ral's response. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we had no idea what he's gonna think about the film, and it's always like that, you know. It's kind of like you're always anxious about these type of things. We thought we were fair, but obviously there are stuff in the film which we figured maybe he's not gonna like. You know, there's like a former follower saying he took the story from like of the second encounter from a comic books, you know, so that's maybe something that I thought he's not going to appreciate, or some other things, you know. People normally don't like the way they're kind of like I mean, at least in my movies, you know, which I don't kind of like, I'm always kind of like try to make films about like the gray zones. So it's always kind of like you never know what's going to happen, you know. So I felt we were being fair with him, but we had no idea how he's going to react. So actually, I'm not looking surprised because we've seen this video, because he shared it with us yesterday. So, but that was kind of like, and there was like it's part of a longer interview. So with Rael. So, but I think altogether, I think he enjoyed the movie. I think also, you know, I think he was kind of like. I think the film is like doing justice to him, and it's giving him like maybe for someone that was like really have like such a notorious reputation, especially in Canada and France. So I think like this is maybe the first film that kind of like Rael comes across as a human being, and it lets him the opportunity to express his ideas and thoughts without kind of like being forced to make a sensational type of film. So yeah. So actually, I mean, I hope it's good that he likes it. You know, it's kind of like what as a filmmaker, what should be like what should I want? But I think it's okay. Like I think I make film for people to think about. So I think I hope this film is this type of film that make people think about it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take another question. Let me read. Okay, so your film, so this is from Henry. Your film made me wonder, what is the role of a documentarian? Communicating a message or convincing an audience of a certain truth? Sounded like this documentary was more about exploring your own uncertainty of truth than any other reason. What are your thoughts?
Why am I making films, basically?
Yeah, why are you a documentarian? You know, truth in documentaries. That's that's a 2 hours, 3 hours long talk, maybe.
Yeah. No, but I mean, for me, basically, the kind of like my favorite films to watch and to make are films that takes me into a new place, a new reality, that I get access to places that I would normally not be able to be present at them. So I mean, without making this film, I don't think I could have hung around with, you know, with Rael and his followers, and travel to Africa and to kind of like experience all these things. And I mean, I think my main kind of goal is telling good stories, just the same as I like to watch films, to be told like good stories. So I like stories. I like when someone tells me a good story, and I like it when I feel that I'm telling someone else a good story. So that's kind of like maybe my main goal. And like if I can make people think and also laugh a little bit in the process, so that's perfect.
Another question from Pierre Charles. When the DVD will come out, will you have outtakes and longer interview, not in the movie? I mean, we talked briefly about this, but it's I would more like to ask, you know, when do you think there would be a DVD. Like when do you see, how do you see this film distributed? And of course, hopefully, we're hoping for a little bonus, as we said, a little extra crispy anecdotes.
Yeah. No, I mean DVDs are like basically are things of the past. So now it's all digital. So just like we call it DVD, like, but it will be like all digital. The film was made for cinemas. So I mean, before this COVID-19, we had like a very nice distribution plan, which went down the drain. I hope it will still like manage to have some kind of cinematic life. It is participating in quite a few festivals. So we've done some festivals in Europe, in different countries. It's going to play soon in the US in a very, very good festival, which I cannot reveal the name yet, but it's one of the best ones. It's going to play in Mexico, also in a very good festival. I cannot reveal the name yet, and in many other places. So it will have festivals. I hope this online thing will be replaced with real cinemas and with real festivals. Also because we like to travel, and this year our plan was to just have like 6 months off and travel to many places, which never happened. But yes, once we're going to release it like properly on a digital form, we can use a lot of these kind of like longer interviews and outtakes and stuff like that.
So I'm actually reading in the chat. There are a couple of Raelians that are there. One of the question is how do you think his followers will react to their portrayal in this film? And a couple of other people in the chat are saying, well, I'm Raelian and I think it's well made. I'm Raelian and I like it. So I guess that's the answer. I mean, for a few of them, I guess. Shoot, I forgot my question. Well, I guess I'm going to find another one in here. All right, my first time on this format. Oh yeah, question from Stefan. During the movie, we see that you tried to get some information about his ex-wife. What about his two children? Did you find something interesting?
Yeah, so his ex-wife we could not trace. We hired like a researcher in France, like a good one, someone that considered very good. He couldn't find her, and the kids. I mean, we could have reached them, and then we thought it's gonna. We had so much other stuff, than like there's just like some interviews which you think, okay, what will they tell us, and his son actually, we've seen him giving interview in some other reportage. So we thought we wanted to bring something new, not like repeat kind of like stuff that's already been made about. But it's always like that. It's a matter of choices, So I don't know. Maybe it would have been a good contribution. Maybe it was, but we just didn't go that way.
Okay. I think we can take one last question. I guess we still have a little bit of time. A question from Oscar. What was the reasons to receive the award?
So Rael have seen other films that I made, and he liked them. You can also see like my other films, those watching the Q&A. So you can go into my website. It's basically my name, yoavshamir.com, and you can like see other films. Also in this opportunity, if you enjoy the film, so you can vote on IMDb. That's always like a good thing to do, or just tell your friends about it, or post something on our website. Yeah. So I mean, and my all the other films that I made are available on VOD, so you can decide for yourself if the award was justified or not.
Okay, I think we have everything there, or almost. Yoav and Tanya, do you have one last word? Oh, maybe you can tell us what are you working on a new project, or what's next for you guys after that?
Yeah, so we're doing like a TV series now for Israeli TV. It's about social psychology. And we are looking for the next exciting film that will take us somewhere interesting. So if anybody has like a great idea with a good access for a film you'd like us to do, send us an email. We are adventurous people. We like to travel.
Yeah, hopefully. I also forgot something to say. You know, obviously we show only a little bit part of my Zoom encounter with Rael. Just a fun little anecdote. When I asked him, you know, because he's talking about, you know, he wants to make a really big movie, something between like Close Encounters and the 10th Commandments. You know, he's, you know, obviously he enjoys movies himself. I asked him what if there was a biopic made about him, what actor would play him, and he's a really big fan of Mr. Bean, and I think he said, I think probably jokingly, that Mr. Bean could be a cool actor to play him. I thought it was really funny. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you everyone for following this Q&A. If you do like the movie, talk about it, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the festival. I'll see you guys around at other Q&A, and Yoav and Tanya, hopefully see you at another festival, at other physical festival.
And
thank you very much, Celia.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, guys.